to peel stripes off. But them's the go fast stripes. Oh shit, is it fucking pulling up or anything?
Bam!
This is pulling up anyway.
Yeah, it's just... Should be where our fuel cell sits, and then that's our prime pump, which is it's a little oversized for a prime pump, but the good part about it is it's also fail-safe. So that pump is wired to the Holley, and anytime the fuel pressure is below 50 psi, that pump comes on. So whenever we turn our key on, and our mechanical pump obviously isn't pumping because the engine's not running, that pump primes the whole system, so the car starts almost immediately, and then the mechanical pump kicks on and that pump will kick off. But if for some reason we have an issue with low fuel, or the mechanical pump cavitates, gets an air bubble, even though it shouldn't, but in that situation the Holley will see the fuel pressure drop below 50, and that pump will kick on and keep the engine running, keep it from dying on us, like on a shutdown, anything like that. And it'll also, you know, prevent any major lean issues if our mechanical pump has any issues. That's a pump that's good for 1400 from Fuel Lab, and it's good with 100% methanol. So it's not going to degrade and, you know, break down over time and cause us issues. So it's a prime pump, but also a fail-safe pump. We run a System 1 fuel filter with this billet adapter, and this billet adapter has 2 outs and 2 ins. And how we do that is our prime pump comes into one side on the inlet, and that flows through the entire system, and it's filtered. And then our mechanical pump comes in on this one, and then this outlet goes to our rails. And then there's a check valve here and a check valve here. So when the prime pump is operating, it doesn't backfeed the mechanical pump, and vice versa. So whichever pump's not working, the check valve's shut and it doesn't bleed back into the tank. And those are flapper style check valves, not spring and ball. So they have the most efficient flow, and they seal perfectly. We run 100 psi of fuel pressure from that 14 gallon a minute pump, and it never backfeeds through this check valve back into the tank through the mechanical pump. So, and even if we didn't need check valves, we'd still need one on that prime pump, because that doesn't have a built-in check valve like a Bosch 044 or a Walbro, you know, inline pump. So that one's got to have a check valve no matter what anyways, or else it'll just bleed back.
So is this literally everything that's out of the car now that we don't need?
Well, so this is our return line that went to the tank in the back. We'll probably end up reusing this line or making a new one. This is just our splitter off our fuel rail. This is our vent, which we'll shorten up. We put a lot of people just cap their vents off whenever their car is being stored. We use a vibrant actual valve, so we can open and shut it. That way we don't have to worry about moisture trying to build up in our tank because of the methanol, or the methanol trying to escape in heat during, you know, in between runs or cooling. This is the big boy, that dash 16 line that we ran from the rear of the car to the front. And I mean, yeah, it's just rubber nylon braided line, but that's a good 5 pounds worth of stuff, you know? Not only that, imagine trying to suck fluid through this long of a line compared to what our new line is going to be. It's going to be a foot, maybe less. So less restriction for that mechanical pump to work. This was the fuel cell that we ran in the rear. 15 gallon tank. It did great. It's got a sump, We did custom baffling. We actually built this tank here. But reading, you know, the new rule books and everything, they actually prefer you to have your fuel system components in front of the engine. They actually prefer it. It must be that when capable, they prefer it to be ahead of the engine. I believe that's so all the fuel system components are contained in one area. Fuel line, we have a fire in the front, fuel line caught on fire. Now we got a 15-gallon tank in the back of the car. So we got a fuel source from the front all the way to the back. Now the whole car's in, you know, gulped in flames. On top of it being methanol.
Clear flames.
You know, so really extremely high burning fuel that's clear when it's on its own, but as it's burning other stuff, you'll see smoke and stuff like that. But they want that up front, and then they require a 1.25 inch bar to protect it. But they don't require you to have like a full skeleton frame around it. And a lot of the reasoning behind that is, let's say you do get in a front end collision, they would much rather the tank rip off of the vehicle and go away from the car than stay with the vehicle and be completely crushed and supply fuel to the fire. That's another reason why we moved everything up front. We're going from a 15-gallon cell to about a 7.5 to 8-gallon cell. So we're gonna save a lot of weight there. We save weight in the line, restriction in the line, safety. Not only that, it's a radial car, so we want more weight up front. We don't want it in the back to cause it, you know, too much weight transfer. We're trying to scale the car now and evenly disperse everything. So that's why the fuel cell is in the front right, to kind of counteract the weight of me being the driver over here on the driver's side, get some weight over on the passenger side. We built this plate for the cell to sit on. This is just a piece that we cut out when we did it. That's where the sump sat. So we're probably not going to close this up, but what we're thinking is we use riv nuts on everything, like so they rivet into the panel and it's actually threaded for a bolt. So what we're probably going to do is we'll make a piece like this but a little larger, and then we'll just do riv nuts and secure it. That way, if we do need to reuse this or we do need to have a function for it, it's not welded back up for no reason, and we didn't need to make a whole new piece. That opens up a lot of room in the back now that I look at it, not having a huge cell back here.
All the activities.
A lot of room. So we really try to take all the weight we could out of the back. We're getting rid of our regular parachute setup that we had. It's just your standard parachute with a what they call a helper chute. So this comes out first and yanks the bag out of the chute holder and then deploys the chute. That has a delay to it. So we are actually going over to a CO2 launch chute setup. So this will actually be charged with about 100 psi of CO2 pressure, and it'll be primed and ready. And then when we pull the chute cable, it'll actually shoot it out fast and efficiently and have it deploy almost instantly. That's just made out of, you know, regular tubing, DOM. This new chute setup's going to be made out of all chromoly, just like our front end. We're just trying to save all the weight in all the areas that we can, and it still be strong and efficient. This will be where the chute mounts for the actual strap of the chute. But this is a quick release for our push bar for our new golf cart setup with a push bar on it. So we don't have to worry about getting heat in the car or wasting fuel trying to drive up to the line, because some of these tracks we go to, like Texas, it's quite a haul to get from the back of the pits all the way to the staging lanes. Not only that, thousands of people there. You're dealing with people crossing, you're dealing with people blocking the drive, you're sitting, GTR's breaking down. So it's just a lot easier to push it up there with a golf cart, and you can pull it in reverse, forward, all that stuff. While you're waiting on the GTR mess to be cleaned up off track, you can take golf cart back to pits, go get some food, whatever, you know. It's no biggie.
So when we boost in the go-kart,
oh, I don't know about that yet. We'll probably just put a Gixxer 1000 motor in it first. All you gotta do is just glance over from this to the Gixxer back there. That's only been sitting there for 2.5 years.
Does it run?
When I first got it, it didn't, but I sucked all the oil out of the cylinder from it laying on its side and it fired right up and runs beautifully. It's a good donor motor. And I mean, we got a golf cart now. It'd be kind of cool. Yeah, look at that. We got plenty of room.
Plenty of fucking room.
Plenty of room. We won't even need a shifter, really. We'll just put a air shifter on it with a kill box and just have paddles for up and down. Screw it.
That'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah.
So then you smoke someone with the V, you get bored, you come back, you smoke someone with the tow V.
We can push the V up to the line and then race this down there and push it back all at the same time. I mean, that would make sense.
All in one.
Yeah. It's got oh shit handles and everything. We're good. Let's do that, and then I'll get the mic from him.
We're rain checking over